Good day, everyone. This is your teacher, Ma'am Nich, and I officially welcome you to your first class in oral communication in context. I hope you are all doing good and feeling healthy, especially now that we are in the midst of a pandemic. But this should not stop you from learning, right? So, for our first topic, we will be discussing the nature of communication. You may now prepare your notepads and your worksheets. Communication comes in various forms, from the simple nodding of your head, stretching your arms, talking to somebody on the phone, or texting and browsing social media pages. These are all proof that human beings engage in communication every day. Our ability to communicate began since the day we are born. When you are still a little baby, you often cry to express that something makes you uncomfortable. Later on, your mom would realize that you are probably hungry and feed you with a bottle of milk in response. As you grow a bit older, you slowly learn to express other emotions with your face, such as anger and excitement, which eventually turns into faces of confusion, shock, disappointment, and affection. Indeed, communication is natural among all human beings. When you exchange ideas with someone or send information to others, you do it in two ways. First is through words, which is of course the most common way to communicate. But our words become more meaningful with the help of gestures and facial expressions. These are called verbal and non-verbal communication. Humans are social beings. We live to interact regularly with others. Have you ever imagined yourself not talking to anybody? It's very impossible, right? That is because humans are naturally connected to one another, and the world would not progress without us communicating. When you look back in the history of humankind, you will find that early man could not speak as you today. Instead, they use symbols, gestures, sounds, drawings, and sign languages. People from a long time ago did not use words. They did not even have the alphabet of letters, which is very far from how we communicate at present. Words and languages developed much later in human history. Hence, technology. Over the years, communication has progressed tremendously. Language developed side by side with technology. Now in the 21st century, most people use cell phones and computers to communicate, thus making big leaps of development in easier and more convenient ways. Hence, we see the importance of communication. The big question now is, what is communication and why do we communicate? First, communication is a two-way process, which means that there should be a return of messages from one person to another. If only one person is involved, messages will not expand. Second, communication connects people in the world we live in. It helps us bind different cultures and join together different fields. And third, communication is a means of sharing and exchanging messages. It is our way to express our ideas and talk to one another. Based on these characteristics, we can define communication as a two-way process of connecting people and the world through exchanging messages. Moreover, communication is a message understood. For communication to take place, we have to consider two conditions. First, there should be a clear message. And second, message must be understood by the receiver for whom it is meant. This means that for effective communication to take place, the message must be able to serve its purpose. Next, communication is social interaction through messages. Social interaction is always through messages. We discuss problems and arrive at solutions. We exchange ideas and interact with others. We transact and then we negotiate. In doing all these, we use communication. Now let me explain to you the process of communication. As you can see in the illustration, communication begins when the speaker or the sender responds to a stimulus. A stimulus may refer to a topic, an idea, or any concept that comes into the mind of the sender. She then decides to encode or transmit it in the form of a message through a particular channel or means of communication. The receiver then decodes or interprets the message and responds accordingly based on his interpretation of the message. This response is called feedback, which is sent to the original source, who is the sender. As the communication transaction continues, the sender and receiver may exchange roles until understanding is achieved. Noise represents the barriers to communication which sometimes block the transmission of the message, thereby creating misunderstanding. Through this process, we are able to understand that communication is systematic. Now this time, let us talk about the functions of communication. These are just some of the many functions of communication. Please remember that the function of communication varies depending on the context in which two people communicate. For example, if your purpose is to clarify, it means that you want to make something clear for better understanding. You might say, "Are you sure about what you are saying?" Or, "I want to make it clear that." If your purpose is to affirm, it means that you are taking sides or agreeing with what somebody said. You can use these statements: "I agree with you," or "Yes, you were right." When you persuade, your goal is to encourage somebody to do something or believe in something. For example, "Come and join me, I'm sure it will be fun." Or, "You should start studying now." And when your purpose is to motivate, you are showing your support to somebody, like, "I know you can do it," or "I'll support you no matter what happens." These are just examples on how you can express messages depending on your purpose. Remember that function of communication depends upon what the sender wants to achieve. And we're done for the day. Congratulations everyone, and thank you for staying with me until the end of our first lecture. Give yourselves a big hand. Before I end this, let me just give you a summary of what I have discussed. First, all human beings engage in communication every day. We communicate verbally and non-verbally. Communication is a two-way process. The elements in the communication process are the stimuli, sender or encoder, the message, the channel, the receiver or the decoder, the feedback, and noise. And lastly, communication has countless functions. And that's it. I hope you learned a lot. Once again, this is your teacher, Ma'am Nich, and I hope to see you in the next lesson. You may now answer the activities in your modules. Have a great day!